a player and you have been watching Dungeon Master Doom's Pathfinder Adventure series, I'm sure the curse has already taken effect and your eyes have melted out of your sockets. As you can see, my eyes have melted out of my sockets as well. And as you watch more of these adventures, you will be doomed to become a dungeon master yourself. Watch these videos at your own demise, because once you become a dungeon master, there is no turning back.
Alright, now the players have just entered the dungeon and killed 2 drunk goblins in here. And it's a very disgusting, slimy room in a slimy, disgusting dungeon of doom. Now, the first room had a light source coming from outside. But now we're getting into the dungeon. And when you get inside of dungeons, things get dark. So we have this long corridor. We're stuck on the battle map again. Maybe one of these days, instead of a big old battle map like this, when there's an encounter when you're fighting drunk goblins or something, I'd like to pull out the little pieces from the Descent game, so you just focus on the combat in that one area, and then when you reach a long, dark corridor, you got more that you can imagine. And, well, as I'm describing this corridor, I'd say you can't see what's at the end, but of course they can see what's at the end here. It doesn't really matter. But here they would have to pull out their torches. The elf has her night vision. And they go down this dark corridor. And I'd make them set up their party order. Back in the day, playing 2nd edition, we didn't use maps. But party order was a big thing. And it would always be who's first, who's next. It would always be like the warriors first, cleric second, wizard in the middle, and the thief holding up the rear. Or maybe the cleric or the thief would be switched. We'd do party order instead of tracking things on maps. So, anyway, so now we're entering the core dungeon. This is where the dungeon starts. And they open up the black door, or the stone doors in the dark corridor, and they see a glowing fountain. So there's a light source in this room, but they can't exactly see what's around here. And they probably wouldn't be able to see this passageway right away. The elf could. The elf could see it. Now, this is actually a really complicated part of the game. Because as they're inspecting, there's a horde of goblins here. So we'll see what happens. I'll have to read the players and see how they act. They might just want to inspect the golden fountain without even bothering with this area. I could have them roll perception tests. Now, if I ask them to roll perception, they'll be alerted that something's going on, and I might not want that to happen, so I might want to roll secretly. But if I want to alert them, if they make their rolls or not, I'll have them roll in the open. I'll tell them to make a perception roll. So it all depends. A lot of it is reading the players as you're running the game. If they're being sneaky in the room and being very quiet and cautious, I'll say they hear some screeches and groans and grumblings from the other room. Weird, non-animalistic screams and grunts and growls. If they aren't being careful, and they're just messing around with the fountain, maybe I'll have a goblin come up here and then make them roll perception tests. And if they fail, I'll say they got surprised and they get ambushed. But then, and this is where it gets complicated, because they don't have to fight these goblins. If they're smart, they'll be able to talk to them. Because, let's see, we're going to have like 4 goblins in here. And then we got the King Goblin. And they can negotiate and talk with the King Goblin. So if they get surprised, maybe I'll have him... You see, for the first round I won't attack. I'll just have him scream and go, "Trespassers!" And then, as soon as that happens, at the end of his turn, before the round, I'll have a bunch of them yell, "Trespassers! Trespassers!" And then maybe I'll have the boss, the goblin boss, we'll call him a goblin lord, say, "Who dares trespass in my cavern?" And I want to make a change. They... in the book, the goblins are very childish, and they named this the king of the goblins King Fatmouth, and that's just lame. So I'm going to call him Malikor, Lord Malikor of the Swamp. Malikor. Because goblins talk like that. And I like my goblins more crafty, even though these goblins aren't very smart. So basically, they might just fight, have a big fight, and pulverize the goblins. They'll take damage. They'll get hurt. It'll definitely hurt them. They probably won't die. So if they fight, they fight. And that's just how the game goes. If they're smart, and they talk to the goblins, so many things can happen. But I will put them on a quest in the dungeon to give the dungeon more of a structure. And the Malikor will offer them freedom to roam through the dungeon as long as they find an item that he's looking for and slay the dragon who's taken over this territory. Because that's the story of what's going on. This used to be Malikor's dungeon, but then the black dragon came and the dragon pushed them out. And so they got problems, and their numbers are down. Otherwise, there'd be more goblins, but the dragon's been eating most of the goblins. So the object he wants in the book is, again, pretty lame. A wooden toy of a dragon. I mean, come on. So I was thinking I'll change it to a magical ring. Everyone likes magical rings. But goblins are evil, so... it'll be an evil ring, so it'll only work for evil players. So it'll be interesting if the players are evil or not, depending on their alignment. And then if they were evil, they would interact with the goblins differently. I can't really predict any of this stuff. But I want to make it an evil ring or something. Or maybe I could make it a cursed ring, and the goblins want it to put curses on people. I mean, if they put the ring on, it drains their life. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. Anything but a stupid dragon toy. Ugh. Alright. So, you can have that. Now, if they're being sneaky, and they try not to alert the goblins, other things could happen. They could try to sneak along and maybe not mess with the golden fountain and go on to the next room. Oh, another thing about light and dark. This room will be pitch black, so if they sneak around and try to see what's going on, they won't be able to, because, well, goblins can see in pitch black. They don't need light, but they'll just hear the voices and stuff. So the goblins will see them first, and it'll make sense if I say, and I won't even have them. They'll walk here, and I'll say, "You hear a voice in the shadows saying, 'Halt! This is Lord Malikor's lair. State your business or die.'" So that could happen. Or they might avoid it and go through the whole dungeon and then hit that at the end. And then there's the whole part of exploring and investigating the fountain itself. So they could try to explore it sneakily, but it will be interrupted. So this will have to be taken care of first. And then they'll be free to explore the fountain. And I'll save that for the next video.